It is certainly an upset for the Bloc. The whole election is an upset for the Bloc, actually, because obviously the Bloc Quebecois losing nearly a third of its of the seats they had in the previous election in the House of Commons. It's a huge slap in the face, and of course, I believe that internally it should be raising questions regarding the leadership of Yves-François Blanchet, who did not deliver clearly on his strategy, both on the provincial level, because of course the Bloc is not seeking election across the country. But yes, the strategy on the provincial level, but also the get out the vote strategy in those ridings where we knew the race was going to be very close in some ridings, including Terrebonne. And Terrebonne, it's also a surprise there because it used to be such a deep blue, very sovereignist riding for so many decades. So for it to turn from the Bloc Québécois to the Liberals, it sends a strong message to the Bloc that maybe they should refocus, they should rethink their strategy in the future, especially in the circumstances that we are living right now with the threats coming from the US. It shows clearly. To me, it's a yellow flag certainly for sovereignists, because that means there's no appetite for sovereignty when Canada is at risk of facing a major crisis coming from the US. Well, it is. There's certainly circumstantial factors involved in this election. It's something we had not seen before. Of course, a U.S. president threatening Canada's economy, but also Canada's sovereignty when he talks about the 51st state, for instance. So, of course, it means that a lot of Quebecers were looking for a savior, basically, someone who would defend their interest and defend the country's sovereignty. So there's certainly a rise, even in Quebec. There's certainly a rise in the sentiment of belonging to Canada that we had not seen coming until a few months ago. So circumstances have changed drastically since the beginning of the year, since Donald Trump came back to the White House, and that has been to the detriment of the Bloc, and certainly to the advantage of Mark Carney and the Liberals. Now, that being said, the Bloc should have adjusted its strategy, saying, we can work with the rest of Canada. We can be a strong voice for Quebec in Parliament, defending Quebec's interests in those negotiations that will happen with Donald Trump, with the Trump administration. But in the end, the Bloc did not succeed at doing this, at getting its message through to Quebecers, and that's why they are facing right now the results that they have. It's going to be crucial for Mark Carney to send a message to Quebecers that their message has been heard. It's not just being thankful for their trust. It's also about representing the strength of the team, of the Quebec team within the Liberal caucus. So it's going to be very important to have high-profile ministers from Quebec within his cabinet. But also, I would say that Mark Carney should not forget that Quebec's support is also circumstantial. So he needs to make sure that people in the province are satisfied with his government's decision in the future, because he's still in a minority government. So far as we know, he doesn't have the majority. So there are still recounts happening elsewhere in 3 other ridings in the rest of the country. One of them could go Liberal. The 2 other ones are not in danger or at risk of turning Liberal. But still, Mark Carney is in a minority government. So there could be an election technically in a year or 2 from now. So he needs to maintain that level of support in the province if he wants to stand a chance, maybe in the next general election, to maybe having a majority in the next election, thanks to Quebec's support. Do what you want to do with it, okay? These are some lines I prepared.
Please go ahead.
Okay, so very interesting to know that if ever the 2 candidates had equal amounts of votes, they would have been chosen through a draw. So basically, they put the names of the 2 candidates in a hat, and they pick one name, and this is going to be your new member of parliament representing the riding of Terrebonne in parliament. So that would have been very unusual, something we have not seen in a very long time. I think it would be actually historical to do that. So it's very unusual to see something like that. It shows also the importance that, when we say in politics that every vote counts, we have here the living proof of that. Getting out the vote strategy, knocking door to door, going and trying to convince as many people as possible in the riding to vote for you is crucial. And yet again, we have a proof of that in Terrebonne. Now, that being said, the Liberals are right now, as we speak, 2 seats short, only 2 seats from a majority. So that means that in the next few weeks or days, they will be trying very hard to convince members of the NDP, so members of parliament that were elected under the NDP banner, who are now without a party, without official party status in the House of Commons. They will try very hard to convince some of these MPs to cross benches and to join the Liberal caucus so that they can get to that majority. It's going to be, I would say, there are potentially chances for the Liberals still to get a majority through a strategy like that. They could offer ministerial portfolios, for instance, to some of those NDP MPs, for instance. They could promise to achieve things that these MPs have been fighting for years, causes that are very dear to them, saying we're going to do that for you if you support our party or if you join our caucus. So right now the Liberals are 2-3 seats short of a majority. It is achievable still for them to get a majority in the House of Commons by convincing some NDP members to join their caucus. So I would not say that as of today, yes, it is a minority government, but they're still very close to a majority, and it could be happening in just a few days or weeks.